again, where are your ideas coming from? I mean, Zam, surely all these people, a lot of people watching this are going, well, we have got new ideas. You know, we have the new generation who can see this, where there's a big awakening happening.
The consciousness.
Consciousness, and people like David Icke have been telling us this for years, and we're waking up, and we see the wrongs in the world, the Illuminatis and secret societies. Or I'm into yoga now, I'm into meditation, or
we're living in a matrix.
I've become spiritual, we're living in a matrix, and I see that now. I mean, what would you say to that?
Well, all that can be found in the book. We're not only, Noam Chomsky's talked about manufacturing consent, and they've got the general masses basically manufacturing the consent of the government and thinking for themselves, thinking that, I am thinking for myself, but they're thinking what the government says. Now, we're even in a far more worse situation than them, because we're not only fighting them, but we're fighting, trying to fight them, talking exactly like they want us to talk. This is Constant Cumby's Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. This was written in 1983, and then if you took up William Cooper's Behold the Pale Horse, these are the words that they're talking about: holistic spaceship, global village, transhumanism, crowded planet, paradigm shift, right brain, left brain, consciousness, matrix, linear thinking, dualistic, global thread, new vision, initiation. All these words are all outlined 30 to 50 years ago. Both Cooper and Constant Cumby said this is what they have, especially the words consciousness and paradigm shift. These were all planned to basically sell it to us. And so we're not only thinking the way they want us to think, we're like talking exactly where they want to think as well.
2012 is a good instance of that from limited research I've done, but from what I can see so far, that actually before 2000, the year 2000, no one was talking about 2012. You know, the so-called people were channeling ascended masters in the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. We're all talking about the year 2000 was going to be this big pivotal point where the humanity will wake up and one world religion and everything will hug each other and it'll be fine. People in the 1920s and 1930s.
Theosophy Society.
Yes, a lot of Blavatsky and all that sort of stuff. Again, all focused on 2000. The idea of 2012 and the Mayan prophecy and all that wasn't mentioned until 2000 came and went, and then suddenly all these books have come out, have been written, some people, some genuine, some probably not so. And it's only the Mayan calendar that talks about 2012, it's not anything else. Doesn't mention it in the Bible by that date or that year, doesn't mention it in the Quran, doesn't mention in Buddhism, doesn't mention it in any of these other sources, the Sumerian text, it doesn't mention it. A lot of people say that it does, but when you actually look at it, it talks about a catalysm coming sometime. Oh, it must be 2012 because we've got this date from someone else. And the fact that a film's been made about it, came out a couple of weeks ago, which is complete rubbish, don't go and see it. The fact that so many documentaries have been on the Discovery Channel, History Channel. If you're believing in 2012, which I did for many, many years, you're not independent and thought, and you're not doing research, and all the other people can't see it. You're buying into it hook, line and sinker what the powers that be want you to, because they're putting this garbage out there. It's not hidden secret information.
Because when you keep saying something so many times, you start getting people convinced to it. I came to it completely an unbeliever, and I saw this banged out everywhere on everybody's post, 2012, 2012, 2012, and it started growing inside me. And it started growing inside me, not because I did any research, not because I've thought of anything else, even being very skeptical about everything. You guys know the kind of research I've done, being very skeptical about it. It's suddenly growing in me, and I'm starting to think, by 2012, that's it, push comes to shove, and I'm thinking, where did I get that from? I didn't even do any research, but it's growing in me because I see so much posts on FB everywhere else about 2012, and they've made a film about it. Now, if Hollywood's jumped on that bandwagon and trying to show us what's going to happen in 3 years, that's going to be a really good question to ask. Why is Hollywood promoting 2012? What happens if 2012 doesn't really happen? What we're going to all look like? We're going to all look like a bunch of morons, and our complete credibility is going to go absolute ground zero.
Even lower than it might be now.
Exactly.
But again, to touch upon what we're talking about here is something that both Zam and I have sort of discovered, and fairly recently. And I was a big believer convert, if you like, of a lot of this consciousness and 2012 is going to happen, and people are waking up and it's going to be a new dawn for humanity and that sort of stuff.
You even have your YouTube channel, Conscious Mind.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I set that up, and it wasn't until actually seeing that a lot of these terms have been talked about by people who are in secret societies, as I said, 70s, 80s, even before then, 20s. Way before people like David Icke, who I learned about it, started using the Matrix. I mean, the Matrix came from, obviously, the film, Keanu Reeves' Matrix, and then David Icke wrote a book about Children of the Matrix, and we're using that. People use this Matrix as a sort of describing word, but they were using the word Matrix, apart from the fact the Matrix actually is in the dictionary, go and look it up. They were using this word back in the 30s and 40s as a tool for the spiritualist community, for people to believe in this sort of, oh, it's all an illusion, then there's no good and evil, and everything's okay. And a lot of people are buying into it. I can see why. It's a very persuasive argument. And we want to get away from dogmatic religions, and because they just start all the wars, right? And this is a much nicer, friendlier way to be. And again, I'm asking myself on a daily basis, and I'm still asking myself now, but is it the fact that the powers that be are this force, and they know that humanity could, if they wanted to, do something about them, they could remove them if everyone was up for the fight and knew that they were a danger. But if the only people, the Truth Movement for example, who are aware that Illuminati, New World Order, Freemasons, call it what you will, are a threat, if we could kind of make them docile, if we could make the Truth Movement actually more, well, I'm a spiritual person but I'm not religious.
Love and light.
Love and light. If you can make them very docile and impotent, the fact that, well, maybe the New World Order is just the negative that we need to, it's the dualism versus the positive that we are, and maybe they need to be there for us to fight against. Therefore, you know, perhaps we shouldn't fight them or destroy them, perhaps we shouldn't stop them, and actually it's all okay because we're all going to end up in the same place anyway, because it's just an illusion, right? We're all going to go to the higher dimension.
And in 2012 somebody's going to flick a switch and we're all going to evolve.
Wouldn't this force, and if, it's big if, but wouldn't this force who wants to enslave humanity want its opponent to think like that, actually think that, well, maybe they're not quite so bad and not so much of an enemy, and we become impotent and we sit on the ground and we go, oh, okay, it's okay, we don't need to fight against them, we don't even need to organise ourselves and arm ourselves in any way, we don't need to physically, through a lot of fighting and sacrifice, remove them from power because someone else is going to do it for us. This 2012 aliens, the holographic version of Jesus, whoever. And one comment that I saw recently, I think it sums that mentality up very well, was on a Facebook profile, was, I only look for a positive outcome of any situation. And I thought about it for a long time, and I think surely that is just the same as saying, well, I'm being raped, I'm being fucked up the arse right now, against my will, I don't want to be raped, but I'm only going to look for a positive outcome from being raped up the arse. Well, you're still being raped up the arse, and that's what is happening to us now, and it's certainly what's going to happen to us in the future. But if we go for this mentality of, yes, they're killing us, yes, they want to enslave us, yes, they want to wipe out the population, and again, if they do or don't, but yes, they want to certainly take our freedoms away, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to just do what's right for me. I'm going to choose to go somewhere else. I'm
going to evolve, and my consciousness is going to rise.
Yeah, and I'll be better than them anyway, so I'll get to the next level. So it doesn't matter what happens here. Well, I think it does.
And some people don't even want to know about the negative that's happening, and even that they basically say, oh, don't talk to me, and I'm just going to keep it completely positive. The worst thing is basically, even in a discussion, when I challenge somebody and when I ask them, saying the first thing that happens now is, by the book 1, 2, 3 is basically, oh, your ego is taking control. How is my ego taking control? Because I'm asking you things and you can't seem to answer.